Hi guys, so Dominic Cummings is in the news for a very interesting reason.
When the most powerful backroom man in Westminster is in a hurry, people want to know why. Here, Dominic Cummings scurrying out of Downing Street 4 days after Boris Johnson told the nation to stay at home to save lives. Where he went next and why could have big implications for the government.
This evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home. You should not be meeting friends. If your friends ask you to meet, you should say no. You should not be meeting family members who do not live in your home.
Mr Cummings was seen rushing from Downing Street on March the 27th after it was announced that Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock had tested positive for coronavirus. Downing Street said he developed symptoms over the weekend of the 28th and 29th of March. On Tuesday, March the 31st, Durham police received a report that an individual had travelled from London to Durham and officers made contact with him. The Guardian is also reporting that a witness saw Mr Cummings at the grounds of his parents' home near Durham with a young child on April the 5th, less than 7 days after displaying symptoms. He was photographed in Downing Street just over a week later. Durham police said later they had contacted his family to remind them of the rules on self-isolation and unnecessary travel, stopping short of quite saying the PM's chief advisor had broken them. But Labour want answers. The British people do not expect there to be one rule for them and another rule for Dominic Cummings. Number 10 need to provide a very swift explanation for his actions.
And they are completely correct here. But unfortunately, nothing will happen. I'm 99% sure, and I hope I'm wrong here, but I'm 99% sure nothing will be done against Dominic Cummings. When Boris Johnson eventually emerges from his fridge, the one he's hiding in, where the hell has Boris Johnson been recently? But when he eventually emerges and asked about this, he will have the standard political response that Dominic Cummings is an important part of this government, he's an important part of this fight against the coronavirus, removing him would damage our ability to combat this disease, blah blah blah, and nothing will happen. Dominic Cummings will remain in his position and things will go ahead as normal.
It's hard to overstate just how central Dominic Cummings is to Boris Johnson's government, and has been from the moment both men walked into number 10 last summer. Whether you're an ally or a foe or even just a Whitehall bystander, all say that Cummings is absolutely central to operations where he directs, he interferes, even on occasion intimidates. So don't expect decisions to be taken lightly, even though the involvement of the police means this is a serious charge.
But of course, because the police didn't press charges, they just advised his family, please don't, travel halfway across the country when everyone else is supposed to be under lockdown. Please don't do that. We understand that you are an important part of the government. You're the Prime Minister's right-hand man. So we're not actually, or maybe you're the Prime Minister's puppet master, some people will say. So we're not going to punish you, because if we punish you, then we will probably be in trouble. We'll get a call from the police commissioner to let you off the hook. That's how it works. So nothing is going to be done about this, as I've said before. It will be forgotten about in as quickly as it appeared.
Morning, Mr. Cummings.
Opposition suggesting a resignation may be in order.
If it's true that Dominic Cummings has breached these guidelines, he should resign. If he doesn't resign, he should be sacked.
At a time when millions of people are really making significant sacrifices in order to stick to the rules, it seems that Dominic Cummings has gone halfway across England when he was symptomatic. So I think,
and unfortunately, and the politicians here are correct. These from the Liberal Democrats or the SNP, they're correct when they said that he should be sacked or resigned. I believe he should be sacked immediately. He didn't even have to ask to resign himself. He should be sacked, but he won't be sacked because he's too important to Donald Trump. I was going to say to Boris Johnson. He knows too much as well. He's too valuable to Boris Johnson to sack him.
An awful lot of people will be incredibly shocked that he did this, and Boris Johnson needs to sack him.
Downing Street has not officially responded to the story, but they seem set to argue Dominic Cummings and his wife were so ill they needed their child to be cared for by grandparents.
And this was the response, that they had to travel across the country while being infected. So Dominic Cummings was infected. He brought his child 200 miles, I think it was, across the country to the grandparents. Why didn't he ask someone else to take the child to the grandparents if he was ill? If he wasn't ill, I could understand. It was a bad choice to make. But what he did was dangerous. He could have probably infected other people along the way. You know, if he stopped for a coffee along the way, if he stopped at a local supermarket along the way, he would have infected many people. That's why he should be sacked as well. There are a number of reasons why he should be sacked. I don't have any particular like for Dominic Cummings, but for the actions that he took, he should resign or he should be sacked. For what reason would you not sack him? That's what I'd have to ask. And the excuse of, well, we had to go across the country to leave our child with the grandparents. You could have easily asked somebody else to do that, someone who was not infected. You're at the high level of government. Surely you could ask someone within the government or someone within the military or within the police to take the child to the grandparents, because you are infected. You should not have left your home. But as I've said before, nothing is going to happen because he's too important to Boris Johnson. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope he is actually sacked and removed, because he is the Rasputin of Boris Johnson's government. Why not become a Patreon and enjoy access to our Discord server where we share news, chat, and have some fun. If you become a patron, you can also make video suggestions on topics that are important to you. Check it out via the link in the description.